Welcome to Low Mood Month. I am chatting with Michaela Newsom. Michaela, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hi, thanks, Emily. So I am a nutritional therapist and I work specifically with women over 40 who are in kind of that perimenopausal transition as they go through menopause and beyond.
Awesome. Low mood. It's a horrible one, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's one of the ones that kind of catches you unawares because quite often, with the benefit of hindsight, when women are looking back, they can see that actually their mood was off way before any of the other kind of more obvious
Yeah.
kind of perimenopausal symptoms happen. So things like the hot flashes and the things we tend to generally associate with perimenopause, they tend to happen a bit later in the sort of perimenopause journey. But low mood and anxiety as well, they are things that can happen before you really notice any other changes. And yeah, it's a tough one because at the time you might not be aware of what's going on, and it can feel like the world's gone a bit crazy. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, and I think it's worth sort of pointing out that low mood doesn't necessarily mean as much as extreme as depression. It can just be feeling flat, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the women I talk, they can't, it's not even that they can necessarily put their finger on it. They just know that they don't feel like themselves, that something's not off. Sometimes it's like a loss of interest in things that,
Yeah.
they used to like doing. So it can be really subtle, but it can have a really kind of big effect on sort of quality of life. Um, and yeah, it's just something that we need to talk about more, and that more women and husbands, in fact, as well, need to be more aware of.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true because I think if not if when the conversation around perimenopause is much wider and we know that it's more than just a few hot flushes, and people start noticing that actually if in your late 30s early 40s this anxiety and low mood is starting to display, that it could be hormonal.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, I think at the moment, I think things are getting better, but at the moment, very often, if you kind of go to your GP or medical professional, quite often the answer is to give you some form of mood improving medication. And that just doesn't work for a lot of people because it's not addressing the right kind of root cause of what's going on.
Yeah, so what can we do?
So there's lots of stuff that you can do kind of nutritionally. So one of the things that happens is that before you kind of early on in your perimenopause journey, you start having anovulatory cycles. So you may not notice because you may still have a period, but during that cycle, you won't have ovulated. Now, ovulation is what triggers the release of progesterone. Now, progesterone is our best friend when it comes to mood. So, progesterone interacts with one of the neurotransmitters, GABA, and it has a huge, GABA is our calming neurotransmitter. So it's really good for stopping anxiety. It's really important for mood. But obviously, if the progesterone isn't there, then you're not getting that support for GABA with your progesterone. But there's lots you can do nutritionally. So fermented foods are really good for supporting GABA. So things like kimchi, kefir, miso, sauerkraut, yogurt, anything that's fermented is really good. Some key vitamins that are really important are vitamin B6 and zinc. Now, zinc is one of the most common nutrient deficiencies that you see, zinc and magnesium, and they're so important. And quite often, actually, just by kind of adjusting those two deficiencies, you can see a huge improvement. So zinc is found in things like shellfish, meat, nuts and seeds, and magnesium as well. So magnesium also has a really calming impact on the nervous system. So it's really important for mood. And that's found in leafy greens. Things, eat your spinach.
So it's a
Oh,
spinach and fish casserole. There we are.
absolutely, absolutely. And then there's lots of other things you can do as well. So there's lots of kind of herbal support that you can use. Rosmarinic acid is something that helps increase the levels of GABA. Now that's found in lots of herbs. So it's found in rosemary, it's found in basil, sage, thyme, peppermint. So a really easy hack to do is, like when you're making salads and things, is to throw in a handful of herbs. Not only does it make it taste amazing, but herbs actually, kind of based on their weight, have got more nutrient power than any other food. So it's really good to try and get those herbs into kind of your diet. And then there's other kind of supplement type things that you can use. Things like lemon balm is amazing, but you have to be careful with lemon balm because there's lots of interactions with other medications. So always check with a professional if you want to take things like lemon balm, and valerium's another one. Things like herbal teas, so things like chamomile is amazing for kind of a calming impact. And St. John's wort is another amazing herb for mood, but again, there's loads of interactions with that one, so that's one to just be careful of. And saffron, actually, saffron is there's not much known about saffron. It's like a little secret weapon, but it's really, really good for helping mood.
Okay, so I'm expanding what we're eating here. So
Yeah.
we're now starting with a tomato and mozzarella salad with loads of basil.
Absolutely, sounds lovely.
Yeah, and then we're having a kind of a risotto of seafood, spinach, and a bit of saffron.
Lovely, lovely, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, things like that. And it's like because they're so powerful with herbs, like just adding a little bit into each meal, actually you get quite a big benefit. It all adds up, that kind of power of little changes. And then there's other things. There's the general kind of nutrition sort of recommendations that you'll see. So things like keeping blood sugar balance. So that has a huge impact on your hormone levels, which then has a huge impact on your kind of neurotransmitters. So even if you're not in perimenopause, it's really important. And things like dopamine and serotonin, which are the two kind of other big neurotransmitters, they're precursors. They're actually made from amino acids. So a lot of women that I see in my clinic have quite a low protein intake, but obviously you get amino acids from protein. So checking whether or not you're getting enough protein in your diet. Ideally, you should be having protein with each meal, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you snack as well, have protein with your snack. So this not only helps keep your blood sugar balance, but it's also giving you lots of the precursors so that you can actually make the neurotransmitters to support your mood. Protein, I mean, eggs are a great thing for breakfast. Breakfast is one that people really struggle with in terms of, well, how do I add protein in? Having things like salmon, smoked salmon is really good. And then you've obviously got things like sausages, bacon, they contain protein, but with those you obviously you need to go for good quality kind of products. Yeah. And it's just, when you're sitting down and eating, just think, where's the protein, and try and add it in. So things like beans and lentils, they're good sources of kind of plant proteins.
Yeah, there's so much protein out there, isn't there? And
there is, yeah.
And I think we've kind of, a lot of us have got kind of corralled into this pasta heavy lifestyle, or this kind of low fat everything lifestyle, and sometimes that means people are a bit wary of diverting from what they've got used to eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of kind of other reasons, like pasta is really quick and easy, and we all lead busy, hectic lives, and people with children will know, you've got fussy kids, pasta is something that most kids will eat. So we kind of fall into it, but there's ways of just adding protein onto that, just to make sure that you're getting protein in. I think as well that, like, people have always associated protein with bodybuilders and getting muscly and ripped, and you know, women don't want that, but actually protein is really important for lots of other things as well. Over the age of 30, you start losing muscle mass more rapidly, so you need to keep your protein intake up so that you stop losing muscle, because as you get older, that again is something that, you know, contributes to kind of your metabolic health and weight as well. So protein is actually a metabolic organ, you know, it burns energy for us, so you want as much of it as possible. And you know, you don't have to go to bodybuilding status to do that.
No, it certainly isn't all about the protein shakes. It's just about, you know, foodstuffs that contain protein, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd suggest to people to help them kind of, if we're assuming, just for the purposes of this, that we're assuming low mood is a kind of a phase rather than a chronic depression, because I think that's obviously a very different topic. Are there any other things that you would encourage people to do to just, even day by day, just to try and pull themselves up a little bit?
Well, I think the first thing is remember it's a phase, because I think when you're in that low mood, it can feel like it's never going to end, but it will end and you will come out the other side. The second thing is do something fun every day. It only has to be for 5 minutes, whatever. So it's not something that necessarily needs to take up a lot of time, but do something fun. When I ask clients, what do you do for fun? You would be amazed at how many really struggle to answer that question. So whether or not it's just a kitchen disco, home alone, put the music on, just do something fun that's just for you, not for the family. The other thing I would say is try and get outside, getting into nature. It's amazing how much that can boost your mood. And a little bit of exercise. And again, that doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be just your little walk outside in nature.
And your kitchen disco.
And your kitchen disco. There you go. It'd be amazed how you.
I mean, I am a big fan of the kitchen disco. I think it should be prescribed to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, music is a wonderful kind of antidepressant, isn't it? As long as you're listening to the right type of music, obviously.
Well, yeah, maybe not Sinead O'Connor on repeat. I've just literally had a message from somebody saying that this is not relevant for anybody watching this later, but today apparently on BBC, on Six Music, they're playing 1992 tracks all day.
Oh, amazing!
I'm going to be tuning in.
10 minutes at lunchtime, I'll be down there in the kitchen.
Exactly. I'll be like, oh, here I am, age 16 again. Yeah.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I think it's all those little things of creating space and finding time for laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it can definitely feel, when you're feeling swamped by symptoms and by life and by all of it, that laughter is very low down the list, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why we spend so much time on Instagram looking for videos, funny cat videos and things, you know.
Exactly. And even that, just finding something that makes you inadvertently snort with laughter, it really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So do it, ladies.
Yeah. And tell us about it. Tell us about it in the Hub group. We want to know if you find those cat videos that make you snort with laughter. We need to see them.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michaela.
Thank you.